You are now entering Armbar Audio.
Hello, and welcome to another episode of Armbar Audio. I'm your host, Tim Farley. In my hands is my son, Obsidian, and not next to me is my trusted companion,
John Kearns. What's up, everybody? What's going on today, Timo?
Oh, you know, not much. Just hanging out with the Obes Master.
Orbs, Master.
Look at them Pete's.
Look at them feet.
I know the people who watch this show or listen love cats. They have to. That's mine. I love them. But today we're doing another episode of Freestyle, John. And you know, we talked the other day about what gets the most views and what doesn't. But we're going to jam this segment down your throats until you accept it, because we enjoy it. Yeah. Yeah, we're going to Vince McMahon Roman Reigns this shit.
We absolutely are.
We still got the vest on, you know what I mean?
Because, like, it's wrestling news, and wrestling news gets a lot of traction.
Absolutely. And, you know, we like to talk about everything we like.
The wrestles. So we're going to kick it off today.
So,
what are we kicking it off with?
Let's talk about something we don't like, John.
Something we don't like. I don't like it when major companies release tons of talent a week before a holiday. So we're going to talk about the WWE letting go of Ashanti Adonis, John Morrison, Shane Thorne, Drake Maverick, Top Dollar, Jackson Riker. Although, to be fair, finally, fuck Jackson Riker. Isaiah Swerve Scott and Tegan Knox. Now, Ashanti Adonis, Top Dollar, and Isaiah Swerve Scott, I believe, were the faction. What was it called? Hit Row.
Hit Row.
That was them, right?
The last releases, they released the girl. Yeah. I forget her name.
I do as well. But so Hit Row, who had just been called up, was told to hit the bricks. The reason for the releases, if you can believe it, was quote-unquote budget cuts, because that's always the reason.
Now, John, we've seen over the course of the pandemic, this company make record profits. And continually every 3 to 4 months, maybe quarterly, or maybe just randomly, releasing talent. We know that NXT is something else now. We heard the rumors that, you know, we're not signing anybody over the age of 30. No. We're not, you know, there's like all this stuff being said and rumored and all that stuff. And, like, what do you think about every time this happens? What are your thoughts now? Because it's almost like, okay, so to the listener or viewer, John and I don't really follow WWE anymore. We haven't for a long time. That's why we don't talk about it much. But we do stay up to date with the news and what's going on generally over there.
For that reason, when you ask me what do I think about my first thought when a big mass release like this is done, my first thought is, oh, cool, now all these people get to wrestle again.
It's exactly how I feel now. I used to get mad, but now I feel like good.
For the most part, it's people that they weren't using in the first place.
They'll probably be better off somewhere else. Right now, the wrestling world is thriving. The forbidden door, so to speak, is open. And it seems like other forbidden doors, other places are opening that we'll get to later in this show. But I do want to say, the last time that I really got angry was whenever they released Aleister Black, because they built him up, his re-debut, for months with vignettes. They had him come out and kick Big E, and on that Friday, he was supposed to have a match with Big E and have his big re-debut, and they fired him on a Wednesday. And I thought to myself, this company doesn't care about storylines. They don't care about characters. Why should I be invested? There's no reason they're telling anyone to be invested, because we are going to get rid of these people whenever we want. Now, do I think that this falls on Vince completely? No. Do I think that it falls on Triple H or Stephanie or whatever? No.
Falls on one guy.
Vince McMahon.
Well, maybe two guys.
Vince McMahon has Triple H there, but Vince McMahon has always been a wrestling promoter.
Yeah.
His father was a wrestling promoter. Triple H is not a wrestling promoter. Triple H is a wrestler. So, whatever experiments he allowed Triple H to do, we should have all seen coming to an end anyway. But it's just like, I feel bad for the talent because, you got, it's probably the most pay that they can get, but at the same time, how much are they stifled and held back? And like I said, people are making good money other places, and business is booming all over the place. But to look at this list, this one in particular, two names really stand out. And one is Tegan Knox, and the other one is Isaiah Swerve Scott. Yeah. Isaiah Swerve Scott started the trend that other popular wrestlers elsewhere jumped on. I'm not going to name names or whatever, but if you have a working brain, you'll probably figure it out. And I believe he was signed before AEW was a thing. So it wasn't like we're going to eat up all the indie talent so AEW can't get it. And then you have someone like Tegan Knox, who, yes, she was injury prone, but they did a whole big Captain Marvel thing about her, all that shit, and they moved her up to the main roster in a tag team with Shotzi Blackheart. And now she's gone, and now Isaiah's gone, and they built the whole hit row around him, and nothing seems to make sense. And you got this guy that Vince picked out to help him run his business, named Nick. And he looks at these people are only numbers to him. And if he sees that, this number isn't being used that much, but they're getting this much money, well, that's not contributing. That's taking away from our profit. And you can't fault a businessman for doing business, but I wouldn't run my company like that. I know another guy who doesn't run his company like that.
No, and boy, did he have something to say.
Yes.
So, funny enough,
before we get into what he said, Taya Valkyrie, wife of John Morrison, went to Twitter and basically said the realest shit about all these releases that I've ever heard any wrestler say. And she said, do we have the...
It says, stop supporting a company that has zero respect for their talent. You love pro wrestling, spend your money on the hundreds of other alternatives. This is wrong, ethically. As employers, they don't care about us, talent, or fans.
That's one of the main reasons I walked away from WWE.
A lot of people have at this point.
There's other reasons too, but let's see what Mr. Tony Khan had to say.
Tony Khan, man. So Tony appeared on Busted Open Radio, as he does seemingly every day, and was asked about what a WWE contract really is. So he, to make a long story short, basically called them temporary arrangements. What he said in its entirety is anyone, and I'm quoting, anyone who signs a contract in WWE these days is not signing a real contract. It's a temporary arrangement. People who come to wrestle with me, a lot of these people are frankly lifers, and they know that. There are some people who are here who work really hard, and there are some people who come in and work more than really hard. And I feel like it's their actual life, and they'll be with me for the rest of my life. I don't know if everybody who works for my competition can say that. I think there are people who work there and they aren't sure that they'll be there next week. There's a lot more security with the contract here meaning in AEW. So, interesting stuff.
Then he went on to say, I can't say I'm going to extend every contract or bring every person back, but I also haven't been doing mass layoffs. I'm not the most profitable company of all time. I don't brag about being the most profitable company of all time. I do brag about bringing in a lot of revenue for a startup and being a real success story. What I will brag about is we haven't been doing mass layoffs, and we haven't fired 15 people last week or 18 people the week before that. It's not something to be proud of when a company lets all those people go and you're putting press releases out like that frequently. I don't think it's a good thing. I don't want to make light of that kind of thing ever. And this led into them asking about MJF.
Yeah.
And he said, when you talk about a bidding war, each person is their own individual case, and there may be multiple people coming for his services. But we've seen most of the talent going in one direction, and I think that's for a variety of reasons. But I've been very selective in the people I've signed, and every time there has been a mass layoff, on the other side, it's terrible, and I can't say I would be able to take on every one of those people, Khan said. Now, we've talked about this on Twitter, and we may have talked about this on our show, John, but there's this whole idea by casual wrestling fans and WWE marks or E-drones that All Elite Wrestling stands for All X WWE.
Yeah.
And with every layoff, it seems like he doesn't take everybody.
No,
he takes like maybe one. I think out of the 100 and probably 20 something that they've laid off in a year, he's only taken probably 15.
And I think it's worth noting when you or anybody else says Tony Khan takes these people, he's not taking anyone. These are people who go to him and ask to work for him.
Right.
And
I mean,
all these mass releases, they are a direct byproduct of the talent hoarding that has been going on in WWE for years.
Right, and that goes to that's where I think we can't all blame McMahon because McMahon's still in that thought process where he was when WCW was the thing. He's seen AEW and he said, we got to do all this stuff to stifle them. And he did, but Nick Khan said, that's dumb for business, man. You're leagues ahead of every other promotion. We're making money left, right, and center off of different things. So who cares?
Right.
And we're gonna see, we saw people end up in Impact, like the Inspiration, which is great. We've seen the Good Brothers there. We've seen
Buddy
we've
Matthews
seen Jonah.
and Jonah.
Buddy Matthews and Jonah in New Japan and Jonah in Impact. We've seen a lot of people go in a lot of places. We've seen people in GCW. And it's just like, if you are a fan of a wrestler's work, you should never be like, oh, they went to AEW. Oh, they went there. I'm not going to watch now. I've never understood that mentality, John.
Yeah, that is something that a loyalist does. It's not something that a fan does. You know what I mean? Like,
yeah.
And it's frankly sad that people feel this way.
You have Stockholm syndrome from a fucking television show. Like, get fucking over it, man. Like, I've seen tweets, I've seen posts about, I know it's bad and I don't like it, but they're what got me into wrestling, so I keep watching, and I don't like what they're doing, but I keep watching because of this and that. They're excuses.
Yeah, you probably drunk text your ex all. Yeah, and you probably drunk text your ex all the time too. Then, but
right, it's just like, it's so weird. It's so fucking weird.
So,
but speaking of MJF and the bidding war, we'll find out what happens with him in 2024, and I'm sure Mr. Khan will have something to say when that time comes.
Yeah.
But another big name, probably the biggest name in AEW,
Kenneth Omegason. I couldn't think of another one, but
he pretty much wrote himself off of AEW on Dynamite, and we found out last week from the Wrestling Observer that Omega is to get multiple surgeries, and he will be out of the Triple Mania Reha show. I hope that's how you say that.
I saw today he's actually vacating the Mega Championship,
which makes sense. Smart. As much as I wanted to see him and Vikingo, because I love Vikingo, the man has done so much in the past year. And they talked about, in the article, some days he would show up in manageable pain, and some days he would show up in unmanageable pain. And the fact that he still delivered the level that he did over and over for multiple companies is just, I don't care who the fuck you are. I don't care if you hate his character. I don't care if you hate AEW or Impact or AAA. You have to say, this guy is something special. He has incredible work ethic. And his whole thing before AEW was even a thing. And even while it was change the world. He wanted to change the world. And every step that he takes in his career, he's doing that in the world of professional wrestling. And with him being gone, he can heal himself and come back better. I think about this every time somebody has to take a major time off. Triple H, right? When he came back after that quad injury, it was the biggest pop of his entire fucking career. It might have been the biggest pop of that era of Raw, whatever. And so, and now it opens up space. It opens up space. You see, we already saw kind of the seeds of Omega and Cole having a clash over the Elite. You know, and, you know, Adam Cole's here now.
Baby.
Kenny's going away. So, you know, I think overall it's good.
Yeah,
you know, it's sad that we're not going to see a match.
Yeah.
But oh well. If that means I get to see my favorite, one of my favorite wrestlers of all time wrestle more for a decade or so, then I'm happy about it.
Yeah. But yeah, get well soon, Kenny. We're gonna miss you. But
I think he has like abdominal and shoulder.
The shoulder is actually gonna be surgeries. I think I saw something about maybe a hip as well. But
yeah, it's in there.
It's somewhere.
There.
But yeah, get well soon, Kenny. We'll miss you, but we're even more happy that you're getting the help you need.
Now, John, when we watched AEW Full Gear and we tweeted about it, I was like, we talked about in the predictions that Eddie Kingston had to beat Punk. And if Eddie didn't win, they had to continue the story. But AEW did not do that.
Yeah, they decided to go another direction. I'm kind of all for it. But, you know. But yeah, so Dynamite this past week, we saw they kicked it off with Hangman Page's the first National Cowboy Shit Day. And the Dark Order in the ring. Hangman came out, did a little promo work, and that brought out one Bryan Danielson. Danielson is here to interrupt, and he says congratulations. He's excited for the match, but he's a bit disappointed that it isn't Kenny Omega. That elicits some oohs from the crowd. But Page, quick on the draw, no pun intended, says it's not Omega because he beat Omega at Full Gear, and he did it in less than 30 minutes. So that elicits some oohs from the crowd as well. And they're going back and forth. So,
and Bryan Danielson was calling him out on how much he wrestles, and he said, I won the title at WrestleMania. I was wrestling the next night. And boy, Bryan Danielson, he is the complete wrestler. He is an amazing face, and he's an amazing heel.
I think Danielson might get a T-shirt out of that. To be fair, because he was dropping that left and right.
To be fair,
he was dropping that left and right. But so Danielson doing the heel work in AEW and doing it in a really funny, entertaining way, I think.
Yeah. And we saw on Twitter some people reading real deep into this segment. Before the match of Full
definitely
Gear.
was interesting.
Before the match of Full Gear, Adam Page referenced Kota Ibushi. Yeah. We've never seen a star being aligned with Hangman, but it makes sense because, stars are part of, like, the cowboy aesthetic,
culture.
But there was a huge star, and people were thinking,
golden star.
This is
on the ring.
This is This is talking about Kota Ibushi, And he was wearing a Virginia is for Lovers shirt. And you know, that's normal, but if you want to be subtle in storytelling, either people are reading too much into it or they're getting it right on the money.
And I'm leaning more towards getting it right on the money because think about before CM Punk came in, all the very specific shirts that Kenny Omega was wearing. The Cookie Monster shirt for the CM. A lot of CM stuff. CM Punk, like... But yeah, there was a lot of hints with T-shirts at Punk coming in. So, and Paige was talking about Lovers a lot in the promo as well.
Right.
But yeah, man, it's...
Now, wouldn't it be some shit, and I'm just going to go off the rails right here. What if Hangman holds the title until the pandemic kind of eases up? Ibushi comes back, wins the title, Kenny Omega's ready to fight, and he wants his AEW title back, but Ibushi's holding it.
I'd be all for it. But yeah, so that covers Danielson and Hangman for now. We're going to talk about one young Maxwell Jacob Friedman. MJF cut possibly one of the best promos of his career so far, where he was in the back and he talked about being covered in Darby Allin's shame.
He can only do this. He's only good at this. He's only good on the stick.
Yeah. It was really good stuff.
I was like, damn, dude.
But talking about being covered in Darby Allin's shame. Says he's destroyed every wrestler who thinks he can do nothing but talk. Says that his knee is banged up, but he got every one of our little mark chants and then won anyway. And he has the best right hand in wrestling. I mean, he might have the best right hand in wrestling, but we all know who has the best left. And, no. Cheers.
Oh, right. Yeah.
So, yeah. That led to MJF being in the ring. I'm trying to find... I didn't realize that didn't happen right after the promo. That's funny.
Oh, something else happened.
But I want to talk about him in the ring. I don't want to talk about that yet. I want to go sequential.
Okay.
But later on in the show, MJF arrives flanked by Wardlow and Shawn Spears, the latter of whom talks about how MJF can beat any hero with a headlock takeover. MJF says he's the man who will start a bidding war in 2024. We touched on that a little bit. He could take your hometown horse and send him straight to the glue factory, he says. And he also says he deserves to be the next world champion. And there's no one in that locker room on his level. Cue cult of personality and cue the collective heart attack of AEW fans the world over. So Punk shows up, gets in the ring, and MJF says, hold on, guys. Let's not get testy. Let's not get off to a bad start. Maxwell, and extends his hand, introducing himself. Punk looks at the hand, kind of chuckles to himself, turns, and walks away. What do you think about this, Timmy?
We thought about the promo battles between Eddie and CM Punk. But CM Punk wants to help out younger guys too.
Yeah.
And MJF is the hottest young guy that they have. Aside from Darby. And the other four pillars, whatever. Or four pillows if you're JR. But the promo work that we're going to see from these two is going to be absolutely fucking insane. And I'm all for this, but it made me wonder, well, what's going to happen to Kingston? And it also made me wonder, like a lot of people, is this going to be Punk's first loss in AEW? Or is he going to go over MJF?
Yeah.
And I'll tell you this. I trust this company. They haven't really let me down.
True.
But I would love it if MJF beat him.
He beat Darby, but I think he still needs a little something. And giving Punk his first loss would be that something.
Yeah, and he's a dastardly fucking heel. He beat Darby in an underhanded way. He didn't really beat Darby, you know.
So beating Punk might just do it.
I don't know if it'll be clean, but
it probably
it'll be a win on the.
You know, but that's MJF. Love him or hate him, he's who he is. But yeah, where does this leave Eddie Kingston? Well, it leaves Eddie Kingston on continuing his ass-kicking tour of 2021. He's
fighting for respect.
Fighting for respect, yes. And he is continuing his trend of getting matches by starting fights in the back. But
well, he was being interviewed.
This time it was him. He had the allotted time. But Kingston is in the back for a scheduled interview with one Tony Schiavone. Who should show up but 2.0, followed by their son, Daniel Garcia. Kingston isn't cool with 2.0 calling Garcia their son. And says right to Garcia, you let these guys, you're a grown man, you let them call you their son? I don't respect you for that,
yes.
bro.
And 2.0 said that Daniel Garcia lasted longer in a wrestling match with Punk than Eddie did. And Eddie said, it's a fight. And do you want to fight?
Well, Garcia's not one to back down from a fight. And neither is Eddie.
And from what I've seen of Daniel Garcia this year, not just on AEW, he's a fantastic technical wrestler. Having him in the ring with someone like Kingston will help him develop. And Kingston, I really hope they have a long-term idea of what they're going to do with him. Because he lost to Punk, he didn't shake his hand. If he puts over Garcia, he falls further into I want respect, despair type shit. Or is it Eddie's over anyway, who gives a shit? Yeah. But I don't like that. I don't like that he's bulletproof. I want him to get comeuppance. I want him to win on a big stage against someone. The fact that he hasn't held the TNT title yet is a disservice to every fan of AEW.
I don't know that anything big is going to happen with him until Moxley comes back.
You know what, John? That might be the long-term story. The long-term story could be, you left me, and I became a loser, and I'm going to blame it all on you, fucker.
Go right back into Kingston versus Moxley, rather than have them be friends. Mm-hmm. There's a poster falling off the wall. Yep, there it goes. It's going to fall off the wall any second now, and you're all going to hear it.
You got to get that thing framed.
I got to get it framed, but, it's just going to fall and everybody's going to hear it, and I don't care.
Wow, who gives a shit? Fuck it.
There it goes.
But, AEW continues to keep my interest and keep me satisfied. So,
I trust
we got to see the Stone Pitbull, and that was fucking awesome. I'm really digging this whole chaos in America and chaos in AEW type deal. I don't know when Okada has to go back to Japan, but god damn it, it would be something if he showed up. But I don't know what he'd do, John, because now my whole idea was MJF,
Right.
and now MJF has Punk. So,
which, to be clear, we're perfectly fine with.
right. Maybe you wait for that.
But we are going to move on from AEW. We're going to go talk about another company that we love, Game Changer Wrestling. GCW has announced that in what's the word I'm looking for? In partnership? No.
Well, it's
I don't need any website information for this, Timothy. But yeah, on January 22nd, which I believe is the Hammerstein show, is it? So
yep. An hour before the show, I think.
Hammerstein show from GCW, we're going to see the inaugural special that will cover the newly minted by GCW and Orange Crush magazine, Indy Wrestling Hall of Fame. They have announced 3 inductees into the inaugural Hall of Fame class. Sanjay Dutt will be inducting Ruckus, who is a big name in CZW and across the deathmatch world, and a bunch of places, IWA Mid-South, Big Japan Pro Wrestling, but mostly CZW from what I gather. 3-time CZW heavyweight champ, 2-time junior heavyweight, 5-time tag champ in CZW, and 1-time Big Japan Pro Wrestling junior heavyweight champion. In addition, we have Chris Dickinson, who is going to induct Homicide, where if you've seen Homicide at any point, or if you know of wrestling at all, anytime in the last 2 decades, you know Homicide.
Yeah, and Chris Dickinson's perfect for it because they're in the group Violence Unlimited.
Violence Unlimited. But Homicide, of course, Impact, Ring of Honor, tons of places. GCW. And Ruckus has made his way to some GCW scrambles in the past. But the big name that we're talking about here is Jerry Lynn, who is touted as the nicest man in pro wrestling. He's going to be inducted by Sean Waltman, which is really fucking cool. Jerry Lynn, you may have seen on the Sammy Guevara vlog or in the background of Being the Elite, because he is a backstage guy, a coach for All Elite Wrestling, and a talent scout as well, I believe he works as. But yeah, Jerry Lynn, Homicide, Ruckus. I'm very excited to see who else is named as an inductee into the first class.
Also, I'd say about Jerry Lynn, there's major comparisons of GCW and ECW, and Jerry Lynn
legend
was an integral part of ECW. His feud with Rob Van Dam, it was so legendary that TNA tried to do it multiple fucking times. But Jerry Lynn, he was everywhere, and he did his thing everywhere. And he is
loved.
He deserves this. He deserves this majorly.
I think one of the most universally beloved men in wrestling amongst fans and wrestlers. So Very cool. Excited for that. Excited for the Hammerstein show, obviously. We're going to be watching and tweeting that. Definitely talking about that on Inside the Indies.
Shit, maybe we'll do a post show.
We might have to, depending on what fucking happens there.
Some major shit.
Bro, I've tweeted it. So many people have tweeted it. Tim gave himself a devil's peak. Widow's peak, not devil's peak.
Oh no, I have a natural
Yeah.
widow's peak,
That
but
means you're a
this is
vampire.
like there's something else. I
Devil
forget.
walk, I think, something like that. Yeah.
Yeah, something
But
like
yeah,
that.
I've tweeted it. AJ Gray himself has tweeted it. Many people have tweeted it. We need to finally see the one and only Waka Flocka Flame performing Oh Let's Do It live at the Hammerstein show. He lives in New York. Make it happen. What do we got next? Yeah.
We're gonna get into some
Get into
MLW
some
news.
MLW. Tim, kick it off, buddy.
Well,
Please
you
do.
don't have the screen up.
I absolutely do have the screen up.
No, sir.
What happened to the screen? It was there.
It said the stream was paused. There we go. All right, so we found out
witchcraft is
that.
this?
So we have this.
Boom.
Since MLW Fusion Alpha has come back, we have seen the on-screen return of Dario Cueto from Lucha Underground, now under the guise of Cesar Duran. And they are really incorporating Lucha Underground stuff into their weekly show. They even reference, they even go back to the end of it to try and build up the backstory of why Cesar Duran is there. He is the matchmaker in MLW now, and he also has Azteca Underground. And recently, during the War Chamber match, he brought out his brother Matanza. And if you were a Lucha Underground fan, this is where Jeff Cobb came onto the scene, but no one knew it was Jeff Cobb until Lucha Underground ended. Well, when he came out, he had the mask, he had the overalls, he took it off, and it was fucking Jeff Cobb, and that's awesome. I'm very happy about that. But we have found out that on December 3rd, 2021, MLW Azteca Underground collides with the Crash Lucha Libre, and it's gonna be something to behold. I really am happy about this because the Crash puts on really good cards, but they don't film. They don't stream anywhere. They don't, like, you have to be in attendance. So with MLW being there, you're going to be able to see it. And, you know, we got Mil Muertes, Aerostar on the card.
I'm seeing Psycho Clown.
The Parks. Yeah, both clowns.
You said Aerostar already. I'm seeing Davey Richards, LA Park.
What's that dude's name? Kane something. He's an American Top Team.
I'm seeing Drago.
Laredo Kid. Looks like Bestia 666.
I'm seeing Hammerstone and Vikingo up
like,
at the top.
The person who it's either Mystices or Carisco or whatever his name is.
Sin Cara became.
Yeah. Or it could just be someone who took up that mantle. That Lucha Libre gets a little
crazy.
Confusing.
But yeah, Hammerstone.
Drago.
That is Vikingo next to Hammerstone,
Vikingo.
Right? Vikingo.
Yeah.
Who's this guy next to Hammerstone here? He looks crazy.
I think.
Is that one of the beasties?
I want to say those tag team champions are the dudes from NWA.
Okay.
Mecha Wolf and the other guy, but I'm not sure.
Oh,
there's Ray Oris.
Kid here.
Yeah. So
hell yeah,
this
is gonna be
big
crazy
show, and I'm excited for it.
Definitely
also,
gonna be some lucha dodging in this one.
Tajiri, who won the middleweight championship, has gone back to All Japan Pro Wrestling,
and
with the belt, and All Japan Pro Wrestling hosted the official contract signing for the upcoming November 28th Middleweight Championship title belt. Yoshihiro Tajiri, the reigning and defending champion, along with the challenger Atsuki Aogi, both signed the bout sheet, making the title fight official. Now the stage is set for All Japan Pro Wrestling to host an MLW title fight in All Japan ring for the first time in 18 years.
That's awesome.
18 years, and on the 18th birthday, found out it wasn't his. But anyway, I would really like to see Aogi win this and develop a partnership between All Japan and MLW, because All Japan, out of all of the promotions in Japan, All Japan is kind of doing not that great financially or on people's radars, and they should be. Jake Lee has been great. Kento Miyahara is great. Zeus is great. Suwama has been fantastic his entire career. I mean, there's so many good talents there. Why not? And speaking of Japan, John.
Speaking of Japan.
Earlier this year, we found out that Wrestle Kingdom was not going to be just 2 nights this year, but on the 4th and the 5th.
3 nights.
But there was going to be a 3rd night. And we found out that on January 8th,
this is hands down the biggest wrestling news of the past week, possibly the past month. Might be the biggest story this year so far. Wrestle Kingdom on January 8th, the entire show is going to be New Japan Pro Wrestling versus Noah.
And possibly, I am fucking excited.
We've been talking about Forbidden Doors. This is Forbidden Castle Gate becoming open.
Yes, and like I said, before we get into the nitty-gritty of this, Noah is under Cyber Fight, and Cyber Fight also has Tokyo Joshi Pro, and it has DDT, and New Japan is under Bushi Road that has Stardom, and we saw Aita of Dragon Gate go to Noah, do some stuff in Noah lately. He's part of the Junior Tag Champions. And we saw recently on the last big Dragon Gate show, members of Congo, led by Keno, show up in Dragon Gate. So it's not going to happen on January 8th, but there is a major possibility of a lot of Forbidden Doors in Japan opening up. But this door right here is huge because Noah has a vast history, and Noah in the past 2 or 3 years has been really on fire. Yeah, in my opinion.
Every show that we watch together is pretty goddamn good. I'm going to see if I can go away. I'm going to see if they have the card on the schedule yet.
No, they don't.
Okay. Well, then fuck this. I think it said it's in this, right? The card is set?
The card is not set, but it's going to be all New Japan
for worldwide pay-per-view January 8th. I guess that means that the card is announced, but not figured out.
Right.
Well,
hold on.
There's your English translation fun for the day. Because card set tells me that the card is set. So, an unprecedented press conference in Tokyo's Midtown Conference Hall today saw a major announcement for Wrestle Kingdom 16 in Yokohama Arena. January 8th, we will see Pro Wrestling Noah compete against New Japan Pro Wrestling.
In a special event supporting Japan's Red Cross Association and available worldwide on pay-per-view in English and Japanese on Abema. If you order it through pay-per-view, you have like a month to watch it however you
that's
want.
cool.
And I believe a week or two afterwards, it will be on New Japan World in English and Japanese.
Nice. So you got to get the pay-per-view specifically for January 8th if you want to watch this live. Is that what I'm hearing?
Yeah.
But you can watch the 4th and 5th live on New Japan World? Okay.
Yep.
All right. That makes sense, kinda. But I'm sure since this is supporting the...
Well, Abima is where Noah runs their shows.
Well, since this is supporting Japan's Red Cross, I'm sure... Does that mean the pay-per-view buys for the show are going to that cause?
Tickets and pay-per-view buys, proceeds to it. Not all of it, I assume, but most of it.
Okay, well, that's... I'd say that's worth getting the pay-per-view. Supporting a good cause like that. But yeah, so available worldwide in English. If it's gonna be a
7 days later.
if it's gonna be
if
it's gonna be on a Beamer, you know what that means. Here's the English commentary, bud.
They are dueling in the ring.
It's going to be an amazing event for the good cause.
Kazuchika Okada and Kaito Kiyomiya.
I can't wait to hear him say the New Japan names. But yeah, if you don't watch Noah, we're talking about the amazingly entertaining
Welsh commentator
who I picture as a very small, skinny man. He has to be. I can't think of any other look he could have. And the I'd say possibly built like a brick shithouse Scottish man that also commentates. Doesn't he sound like he sounds like a burly guy?
Yeah. So Kiyomiya from Noah stated, "Thank you for coming today. The world has been in a tough position for a long time, but the pro wrestling industry has led the way. I don't know whether this will be an exhibition or an all-out war, but I am grateful to both Noah and New Japan for the opportunity. Yet personally, I believe this has to be a war.
Yeah.
People think that New Japan Pro Wrestling is the be-all, end-all in Japanese professional wrestling. It is the industry leader, business-wise, but I think people's perceptions are messed up. In the ring, Noah is the best. New Japan is no doubt beneath us. A year and a half ago, I said that I wanted to face Kazuchika Okada, and people were furious. Now I want the Rainmaker. I can feel the era is changing in my favor. I think we will show New Japan and the entire world something never seen before. Afraid to say it, but if this is a war, Noah will flip the script with New Japan and make them regret it."
Yes, so Kiyomiya versus Okada is going to happen.
We don't know, but maybe. But there was another.
The next to speak was one.
It might be this guy. It might be this guy.
But the next to speak was one Hiroshi Tanahashi. He says, "I think there's no doubt the New Japan Pro Wrestling wrestlers will be fired up by this news. Over the last few years, NJPW has been competing against itself, and our quality has only elevated. Now we have the chance to show another company how far we have become, or how far we have come. And it's created a thrilling situation. Again, I don't know whether this is friendly or not, but I think that every match should be New Japan versus Noah. That speaking as a wrestler, I think that will motivate everyone to get results, and with all the wrestlers NJPW have on their roster, there will be a lot of competition between now and January 8th to represent the company on that card. I'm thrilled." Now we go into questions from the press. Tanahashi was asked, Mr. Kiyomiya has declared he wants to wrestle Kazuchika Okada. Who would you like to take on? Tanahashi responds that in 2009, he wrestled Keiji Muto in the Tokyo Dome, and it's been 12 years, a full astrological cycle, and Muto is still going strong. Then there's Marufuji, who he's wrestled a lot, and in NJPW they have a lot of belts and a lot of champions, but Tanahashi wants to face someone who really represents the Noah standard. All right, you want to read this one, Tim?
Mr. Obari was asked what kinds of matches we would see on the card, and he said the card is yet to be announced, but the wrestlers have their own individual backgrounds and their own histories with one another. So I think we'll find out in the coming weeks whether they want to face one another or even team up. They asked how many matches to expect, and he said the card isn't set, but if you think about the volume of talent we have between our two companies, there will be roughly double the number of wrestlers. And I imagine the card will reflect that. As for how those matches will be set up, again, nothing is determined, but this is a rare opportunity for both of us, and it would be a shame if we didn't take advantage of that. Supposedly, the tickets that went on sale the 21st, like the pre-release tickets or whatever, have already been sold out.
That's awesome.
Yes, portions of everything are going to the Japanese Red Cross
homepage
thing, and on New Japan, on NJPW1972.com, you can find ways to contribute other money aside from this to Japan's Red Cross.
Yeah,
and it tells you how to order the pay-per-view.
Yeah,
but
sorry,
I'm gonna say this: the picture that they put out, has 3 people from each side facing off. Okay. Now, of course, you have both champions at the time.
Yeah.
Shingo against Nakajima. Yes. And I'd love to see that match because I love both of them. But if I'm picking a match for Nakajima, I want to see Ibushi. I want to see them kick the living shit out of each other.
Yeah.
I want to see Shingo versus Segura. I want to see Sakuraba against ZSJ. I want to see Kiyomiya against Okada. I want to see Tanahashi against let's see.
You already know what I want to see, bud.
Maybe Kino against
Okada is what I would want.
Tetsuya Naito.
No, there's one match that Naito should have, and it's against Ida.
I was gonna say Ida and Hiromu because they're juniors.
Well, yeah, but you know, I'm wearing the hat. It's not going anywhere. No, I'm wearing the Naito.
Right. No, I said Naito and Kino would be a very good match.
But
I'm super excited about this. I'm excited for the event. I'm excited what could come after the event. I think right now...
Keiji Muto and Suzuki?
That'd be interesting.
Yeah.
Jun Akiyama from DDT. Wait. Hold on.
He's got it.
Masato Tanaka. And has to face Suzuki or Ishii. And Shibata can do UWF match against Funaki, which would be fucking incredible. Amazing. Oh, my God.
But yeah, you can tell how excited we are by this news. If you haven't picked up on it yet, this is literally the Japanese version of AEW doing a crossover event with WWE. Like, that's the level that this is. Like, it's fucking crazy that it's happening.
I just love that pro wrestling outside of WWE is thriving, that the forbidden door in America has possibly made this, influenced this to happen. If you're not WWE, you should all be working together and splitting profits and doing what you can to get your promotion and other promotions and wrestlers as far into the public's eye as possible.
You really don't have to try to be competition for WWE to do this. You can
Well, that's how you become competition for WWE.
But that doesn't have to be the goal, is what I'm getting at. Like, you can go your whole lives not acknowledging WWE. You don't. This isn't the fucking.
Well, we've said WWE is a parody of wrestling.
But what I'm saying is, you're still not hearing completely.
No, I do understand. So give wrestling fans what they want.
I'm saying, yeah, yes, yep.
Yeah, I understood.
Just
so.
Yeah. Never mind.
With that will end this freestyle.
We've just surpassed an hour. We're right on the money.
At the end of this week, we will be doing the Give Thanks for Violence tournament from Booker Man Championship Wrestling with our boy Chip. So wherever you are in the world, whether it's morning, noon, or night, you have a great one. And peace
and
love to all of you.
Bang.